Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to another random movie review channel. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Chase, and let's talk about one. And the one I want to talk about is Smile. Now, this one actually comes from Paramount, and it hits theaters this Friday, September 30th. If you choose to watch this film, regardless of what I'm about to say. So, what is this movie about? After witnessing a bizarre and traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts to experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. So, that is your plot right there. Seems pretty straightforward. Maybe this is like some film that's just on like the boogeyman that has a weird smile. Who knows? But I remember watching the trailer and it didn't really entice me. I got to be honest with you. It reminded me of films of like The Bye Bye Man or like some garbage horror film that's just going to have jump scares every 2 seconds. Maybe a cat, jumps in front of the main character and loud music plays in the background. Those types of movies where they just don't have any effort, right? So wasn't really looking forward to this one. I just got to be straight up with honest with you. And the other thing is, when I was looking up this film prior to seeing this, I noticed that the main actress is Sosie Bacon, who is Kevin Bacon's daughter. Now, I'm not really a fan of nepotism. However, if you want to be putting your daughters or sons or whatever into movies, and you're related to A-list stars, you got to prove me wrong. And so I was like, okay, if you're going to lead a film, I want to see this. And it looks stupid from the trailers. Was not interested. And so I forced myself to see it. And before I tell you my thoughts on it, I have to give props to the marketing team of Smile. I've n- I've never seen this in my 30 plus years of existence on Earth, but on TikTok, I've really enjoyed the clips of the baseball games of Paramount hiring actors and actresses to sit behind home plate and have the creepy smiles and advertise the movie and stuff. And I thought that was really smart. And those people need to get raises. That was really cool, super effective, super funny, and I really hope it brings them a lot of money because I saw the movie and here's what I thought about it. Hi, it's me interrupting me, and I just wanted to take a break to thank the sponsor of this review, Movie Palette. Movie Palette takes the concept of the movie poster to the next level. Movie Palette consists of stripes of colors carefully chosen by their team of artists. Every stripe represents a color of a particular scene in a movie and is put in chronological order on the canvas. There are so many movies to pick from, and it doesn't even stop there. They also have whole seasons of TV shows. I recently moved and I needed some things to put on my wall, and I was getting tired of putting up traditional movie posters and wanting something different, and Movie Palette stepped up to the plate. The movie palette that I chose was one of my favorite movies of all time, Logan. This gorgeous palette is a constant reminder of how beautiful this film is and how each scene evokes a different emotion all through its language of color, not to mention a great conversation starter. This is a unique piece to any film and TV lover's home, and I want to help you get one. Use the discount code CHASE15 for 15% off of any product on their website. Film is art, so why not display your favorite as such? That's 15% off of your order when you use the code CHASE15. I like it. It's a good movie. And what's crazy is I was expecting the jump scares, I was expecting stupidity, I was expecting just bottom of the barrel type of filmmaking. And I gotta eat crow on this one. It was actually really good. So, if you were looking for a horror film to watch this horror season, October 1st is just around the corner. I think this is a great one to watch. And you know what? We've actually had quite a bit in the past few months, and some of them are still in theaters. Pearl, Barbarian, Nope. We had X earlier this year. Like this year's been a really great year for horror. And I'm going to add this one to the list. I think it's quite good. So let's go ahead and break it down. So I got to give huge props to writer and director Parker Finn here. Never heard of this guy. And if you look him up on IMDb, he has done nothing but short films. This is his first full length feature. And my God, this man has a future in uh, this industry. I don't care if he does horror. I don't care if he wants to try something else. It seems like he's very good at horror, so I wouldn't mind him uh, doing something else in this genre. But it's a really smart movie. And what's really great about it is the best type of horror films. And this is not anything new by any means. Smile didn't invent this, but the best type of horror films are with characters experiencing trauma, and horror is just kind of the backdrop. It's kind of the thing that kind of props up the story and turns it into this twisted nightmare. But deep down, these characters are facing real life things that we can all experience, whether it be anxiety or panic or fear, trauma, depression. Like it really kind of taps into the human psyche, and it has these characters kind of explore it. It's just in the kind of, like I said, horror backdrop, and kind of used for entertainment, but you can find something kind of a little bit profound with it. So that's what I like about those types of horror films, and Parker Finn does a fantastic job um, kind of bringing us that. Our main character experienced trauma while she was a kid with her mom. We get to see that in the opening scene. And then something happens, like I said in the description, and she's kind of infected with this trauma that never leaves her. And so it slowly starts to eat at her, even when she goes to her therapist and she confides in her fiance in the movie. It's not working. It's just constantly eating at her to where she feels like she has no control anymore, and it's going to take control of her, and she might take her own life. It's terrifying her. So she has to kind of figure out how to stop this. And so um there's a big swath of this movie that deals with a lot of internal character work that I really appreciated, because I thought this was going to be like jump scares every 5 minutes, right? No, this is a really great story about someone trying to deal with their own trauma that they've experienced in the past. Is kind of like bubbling up to the surface again because they have encountered this new trauma that's unfortunately taken over them, and so it's kind of unlocking this Pandora's box of a bunch of other crap that's happened to them, and so they kind of have to learn to control it. And so we get to see this journey of someone who is deteriorating before our very eyes, but we know deep down, like she's trying her hardest to fight it every step of the way. It's a great film that really kind of showcases what people might go through when dealing with trauma, whether it be in the past or present. And like I said, there's large portions of this film where we get to have our main character just talk to her fiance, talk to the therapist, and just have these genuine conversations about this, and even mental illness to some degree, because her mom in the movie experienced that. That was really fascinating to me, and it all had to do with the performances that were within the scene, because it all just kinda tied it together, and you were super invested into the story. Like, I haven't seen a horror movie in a long time where, like, I've actually was more interested in, like, the characters in the story than, like, the actual horror elements, because it was so effective that way. And so there's a lot of quiet moments throughout the film, a lot of dead space and silence, and really, Parker Finn has you focus on the character and what she's going through, and it's like I said, super effective. Now let's get to the actual horror elements, because there are some in there. Jump scares got me. Listen, I've been watching movies for a very long time. Um, I've been spooked several times in movies. I will fully admit. I've never done like an audible gasp, but I'll do this weird thing where like I'll shift my body like into the back of my seat if it's like really bad, and I'll just kind of sit there. But this one got me a few times. So even from like a horror standpoint, Parker Finn really utilizes shadows and the cinematography and editing tricks that I've seen in horror films, and he strikes. He strikes in like the most random places, which is great because in the scenes that build up to the jump scare, right? There is a great cadence to the editing where we have the main character, and the main character is looking at something, and like obviously we're flipping back and forth, and we're like, okay, the jump scare is happening, but where and when? But what happens is that he edits the scene in such a way that you focus on the wrong thing. So he guides you in the wrong direction on purpose so he can then strike while the iron is hot and scare the living daylights out of you. And it works several times. Also, there is some imagery in here that is going to be now burned into my just cerebral, like, conscience now, and I can't get it out of my head. So thank you, Parker Finn, for giving me future nightmare fuel that will probably wake me up in the middle of the night 4 months from now. So thank you for that. But once again, super effective. I don't know if some of the effects were practical or a great blend of that and CGI, but it was so well done and really imaginative with some of the imagery. It got me. It was creepy, it was unnerving, it chilled me to my bone. But I think from a story perspective, a thematic perspective, dealing with real life things that we all deal with, trauma, and of course with the entertainment level, I think Parker Finn did a fantastic job. Now, I will say this: what really holds this movie together is the main character, because Sosie Bacon, to me, had very big Nev Campbell energy to her throughout this entire film, and I love that. It reminded me of, like, the first Scream, quite a bit, where when you watch Scream, like, Nev Campbell is she's a very confident, she's very cool, she's, like a rebel, like, everyone wants to kinda be around her, but when she's thrown into that situation with, uh, a killer on the loose, like, it kind of preys on her because of her trauma, and she eventually has to stand up for herself and face her fears and take on this masked killer. And so Sosie Bacon does kind of something similar where she is a therapist, like she's good at her job. It seems like she has her way of talking to people, and then she gets thrown a curveball, and she has to deal with this trauma, and she has to fight it head on, and we see that journey. Now, whether she wins or loses, I'm not going to say that because that will spoil the ending. But yeah, she carries the movie. Her performance is fantastic. There are several scenes where I felt for her so bad that I was like, I really wish someone could believe her because everything that she's saying is true. Because when she keeps going to people and she's like, something's chasing me, no one believes her. So she has to sit there and kind of convince them uh, to such a degree that I'm like, man, I really just want someone to believe this woman. And so that kinda goes to the power of her performance. It's really good. So, hey, listen, once again, nepotism, that's a no-no, but if you're gonna do it, you better be good. You better, show me up, and she is just as good as her parents, so, yeah, I hope to see more of her. But her performance, really adds this emotional weight that you need for this type of storytelling, and I cared about her so much in her journey that, yeah, I was more intrigued with that than the actual, like, jump scares or whatever, but, um yeah, she's wonderful. Everyone else in the film is, um, pretty good. I'm not gonna say who he is because that will ruin some of the plot, but Kyle Gallner, he's yeah, he's probably my second favorite. They have a pretty great chemistry together for obvious reasons. And then, Jesse T. Usher, uh, we all know him from his recent, run as A Train, pun intended, on The Boys, but, yeah, he's fine. He's not, he's actually not even in it that much, and to be quite honest with you, he kinda just drops off in the towards the end of the movie. Never hear from him again. I mean, I know why he drops off, but it's just funny. We just never hear from him. The therapist was pretty good. Cal Penn's in this. That's interesting. Um, Very small role. Not really much to talk about. I think honestly the worst one for me was she played the main character's sister. I don't know what was up with her inflections with the words, but like she lingered on every single word as if it was like her last word she was going to ever say. And it was a very weird kind of way to line read. So yeah, she might be the questionable one. Because usually with these horror films, there's always like one or two people that just don't really work for the rest of the ensemble. But I'm not gonna harp on her too much, because everything else was so good that I'll excuse it. But that was kind of like one of the weaker spots that I found of the film. It's shot really well. I think the cinematography is really great. Once again, I mentioned it earlier, but Parker utilizes a lot of great camera tricks and techniques and shadows and lighting to really kind of hide and misdirect us from like what's in the background and everything. And so I really appreciated that. Really great cinematography, utilizing a lot of upside down shots, which is interesting because what is the upside down of a smile? It's a frown, and that's kind of the whole point of this movie is that. And this came from another reviewer that I saw on Twitter, where they were saying that the smile represents, people around us every single day that we encounter in our everyday lives where we see them smile and we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what kind of pain or suffering or trauma that they're going through. But they put on a smile and they push forward. And so I thought that was an interesting way to story tell this film as well with the upside down shots. Yeah. And you know what? For a 2 hour long movie, I honestly thought this would be too long. I actually kinda liked the length of it. There was a lot of, just rich thematic, storytelling that needed to be told and really kind of let us be with this main character, and understand, like, her life a little bit better. I actually thought it was pretty great this was 2 hours. Usually when I see movies like this with that runtime, I was like, "Oh, no, this is gonna drag on," but honestly, I thought it was, pretty well paced. So and then, the music and, sound design, I really enjoyed as well. Kind of, um, disorienting, with the sound design, which I really appreciated, just kinda added a little bit more to the atmosphere. But, yeah, that's, all I gotta really say. I liked it quite a bit. Is that gonna make it, like, a top 10 of the year, situation? No, not really, but, if you hey, listen, it's almost Halloween season, almost October here, so you know what? If you're looking for something, I think this is a pretty good one. Um, yeah, so let me know down below what you thought of Smile, whether you liked it, loved it, hated it, thought all of that stuff. I would like to know your thoughts on it. Thank you to our sponsor, Movie Palette, for sponsoring this review. If you want anything off their website, use my discount code Chase15s to get 15% off of anything off your order. And yeah, utilize that because it's a great product. I love hanging that thing up in my living room. But yeah, so let me know all your thoughts on Smile. I am Chase. That will do it for this review, and goodbye.